Hey chat, what do you think of a video of just like answering your questions? The servers will be wiped at phase changes. We don't know exactly if that's going to happen at all. We don't know. I think from what they've said, ideally they don't want to do any wipes, but there might be wipes. And play as if there will be wipes. But we don't know yet. And I think that's really, really smart. I think if they do wipes, they should really reserve them ideally only at the phase starts. I'll tell you why. I played a lot of the tests before the Alpha 2 launched, and when they would do a wipe, people wouldn't come back for the next test. Because it takes a very long time to hit like level 20. A very long time. And people don't want to redo that grind, right? Can you play an ambush playstyle and hunter players down? Yes. Yes. First of all, the rogue class is not out, so that's probably going to be mostly rogue playstyle. But secondly, ranger can kind of do that. Ranger has a camouflage ability where you're very hard to see. If you're hiding in bushes, people are not going to see you. And then you can open with like a long charge snipe into double headshot, and you can almost kill them immediately if they're not anticipating the damage. So you absolutely can. You can play ambush playstyle. But rogue is probably going to be even better than that. Rogue comes out in phase 2, which is sometime at the end of this year. If you YouTube Ashes Alpha 2 PvP, there's a few videos of some good PvP. That is true. I think Nova Ordem, the guild, has a channel. They're showcasing their PvP as well. Would you get any value from this? Well, not really. So you would lose a lot of value, actually. You don't want to go corrupt. They drop some of the mats they've been gathering, but it's really painful the downsides you get from killing people that were not expected to be killed. On the other hand, if you do that for people who are like running caravans, if you do that to people in lawless zones where you're allowed to PvP, if you do that to people in the ocean, yes, massive value. Because there's no penalty for PvP in those areas or under those events. Is this game grindy? Extremely grindy, yes. I know it's alpha, but just curious so far. Yes, it's very grindy, Autumn. If you don't like grinding, this is not the game for you. I would say this is the kind of game for people who like playing RuneScape. Levels of grind. Right? You will be sitting at some mobs, just grinding them for an hour or two. If that is not your thing, then it is definitely not the kind of game that you're looking for. Well, I would say there's very few MMOs that have as many penalties as Ashes does for PKing people. Like right now as it's set, if you kill somebody and they don't fight back, you get corruption, and if you die during corruption, you lose 1 to 3 pieces of gear that you have equipped. You know how crazy that is? Losing up to 3 equipped gear pieces from a death? Yeah, that's insane. You can unequip it. Interesting. You know, I guess that's very interesting. So maybe it's not equipped, maybe it's gear in your inventory, but maybe you could just fill your inventory with trash gear and really minimize the chance of losing your best gear. So you have like 30 pieces of gear in your inventory, but then you still have like 9 pieces of main gear. So even then, if you're losing on average 1 piece of main gear per death, it's not worth it. You can't unequip it. Are you sure? I've never tried. I've never tried that. So if you're corrupted, you can't equip new gear? Like, okay, let's say I'm corrupted, I drop a new sword, I can't equip it? Even talked about it. Huh. That's very interesting. I never knew that, see? Learn something new. In RuneScape, people just put a bad gear before killing other players. You can definitely do that in Ashes. You could just wear all white gear. The bigger problem is, once you're higher level, dying while corrupted also means that you get a lot of XP debt, and XP debt takes a long time to recover. Can you explain to me how to get out of corruption when you PK? So if you're corrupted, the only way to get out of corruption is to grind for a long time, meaning you spend like an hour killing mobs, and grinding will eventually remove it, or dying. Dying will also remove it. But if you love PKing, you're not going to really want to get corrupted. What you'll want to do is go to one of the areas where PvP is not punished. So for example, right now in the alpha there are lawless zones, but you're not ready for that because those zones have mobs level 25 to 30. So ideally those areas for when you get like level 20 plus. Secondly, if you see people doing caravans, I don't know if it's buggy or not, but the intention is if you attack people on a caravan run, you will not be corrupted for killing them, right? So you're free to attack people doing caravan runs. Thirdly, the same goes for any ocean content, which doesn't exist at the moment, but once ocean content is in the game, inside the oceans, everything is corruption-free, so you can kill people on boats. And I think ocean is going to be one of the funnest things to do in the game. Naval combat, just like pirating. And we're talking true, real pirating. Not this Disney BS that you have in some games. Like actual, you get fleets of ships looking for people who are doing trading in the ocean and taking them down. I very much look forward to that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Would an XP debt be pointless since you can't drop level? Theoretically, yes. I don't really know how XP debt works at max level. I really do think they're going to add something to it where, like, if you have too much XP debt, maybe you're going to lose combat stats. I know you lose combat stats while you're corrupted versus non-flag people. So if you're red, the more red you are, the more corruption you have, the less effective you are in combat versus non-flag people. But they haven't really implemented anything for max level at the moment, so the XP debt is not that big of a deal. I'm sure they will, though. What is maritime trading? Basically, carrying resources from one continent to the next. The only way to get a lot of materials from one side of the world to the next side of the world is taking them across the water, right? And in any significant quantity, it has to be done via boats. Like you load up the boats with a lot of goods and you sail from one end to the next. And that sailing area from one to the next is where a lot of PvP might happen. And you could get killed, you could lose all of your goods that you were carrying across. Can you summon a pet like a wolf or a bear as a ranger? No. Summoner class will be able to summon pets. That's for summoners, specifically. Ranger has no summon ability. You can have a wolf mount, for example. You can have a bear mount. I mean, it's in the game right now. You can literally farm mounts right now. You know what would be cool? Like, imagine this. Imagine you go Falconer, which is Ranger plus Summoner, and you have a passive where there is a Falcon that is at all times in the sky, somewhere around you, just flying around. And a lot of your spells are done by the Falcon, right? So you go to snipe, and then the Falcon like launches itself, grabs the arrow, and goes with the arrow. I don't know, something cool like that. So you'd have a Falcon that helps, it auto attacks occasionally, does stuff with you occasionally, and a lot of your spells are influenced by it. Maybe you don't actually summon a bird, but your spells look like bird flies by and does stuff. Yeah, something like that. We don't know yet. Are there better than white 135% speed horses? Yes. I think right now wolves are 135%. So it's a very small increase. And it doesn't seem to be the fact that rarer mounts give more speed. But they haven't really worked on the mount system. Or at least they don't have it in the build. So we know for a fact mounts are supposed to have abilities. That's going to be something in the future they're going to actually work on. I can imagine the Falcon being used for scouting and line of sight. Possibly. Line of sight gameplay is going to be cool too. Tanks in their walls are actually something they're a little bit buggy at the moment, but once the class fixes start popping up, tanks are going to be very, very cool to play with. Like the fact that a tank can drop a massive wall that nobody can get across and they have to run around or whatever, that's a strong ability. So imagine you're doing an 8v8 and your team is low on HP and the enemy team just starts rushing in, right? You drop a wall. Now you have like 5 seconds of nobody in your team taking damage, and it gives your clerics and bards time to heal your whole team. It's massive. Imagine one of the enemy units gets a little bit out of position. You put a wall separating him from his team. His clerics can't heal him, he's dead. Secondly, the tank has literally a combo for it. The tank has the chain he throws on and pulls people in. So what the tank can do, if there's a really annoying DPS or healer that's a little bit in front, you hook him in, you chain him, you throw a wall so he can't run away. He's dead. Now instead of being an 8v8, it's an 8v7. Even better if it's a 4v4 because you turn into a 4v3. So I think tank is going to be very useful for PvP. Or tanks trapping an entire group in a cube. I love it. That's great. Yeah, if you like tanking, don't be afraid to pick it. If you think you're not going to be useful in PvP, you're wrong. I think if you're really looking forward to like hardcore PvE, you just want to like specialize in what you do. Are you a cleric? Get really good at healing. Are you a tank? Get really good at tanking. Are you a DPS? Get really good at DPS. Now, if you want to be a little bit more well-rounded, that's fine too. You should add Paladin class for PvP. Do they have I think they have Paladin. Isn't Paladin tank plus cleric? Or am I crazy here? There's a difference between tank plus fighter versus fighter. Yes. Yeah. It's two worlds apart, King. Whatever your first archetype is what the class will feel like. If you're a tank as a first archetype, it'll be a tanky character that has tank spells. If you're a fighter as your first archetype, you will have fighter-based skills. Now, the tank is going to modify those skills to make you a bit tankier, maybe make you have some aggro options, but you're still a fighter. You have all the positives and negatives of a fighter, right? The secondary archetype either rounds you out a little bit or more specializes you. For example, if I go as a ranger, if I want a little bit more self-healing, if I want to have a little bit of an easier time sustaining myself in solo activity, I might go cleric secondarily and find ways to heal myself during combat. On the other hand, if I just want more DPS, I might just go ranger, or ranger fighter, or ranger rogue, whichever one I choose. You get me? If I want to be better at PvP, maybe I will go ranger rogue if rogue gives me some invisibility options. I might go ranger fighter if I want to be better at like maybe close range combat as a ranger. If I'm getting in trouble a lot by getting just dove by fighters, maybe I go for, I mean, when would you go ranger tank? I don't know. Maybe you want to have a little bit more like, maybe you want to have like an oh shit button, and maybe going ranger tank makes your escape ability also give you some shielding. I don't know. Is there a brawler class? Yes, fighter. More like focused tank more often than being a fighter. What do you mean? Brawler class because that's focus is like fighter plus tank. I mean, maybe. I don't really know what you mean, Mike. Fighters themselves feel like brawlers. They dive in, they hit really hard. They're occasionally tanky, and they have self-sustain. They have like one button they can click that resets all their cooldowns. They have a button they can click that gives them 100% lifesteal for a few seconds. So you can pop that right before your burst combo and heal from 0 to 100. Yeah, fighters are definitely get in the action. And they have a lot of ways to stay in the action and keep themselves alive. Now, they can also get burst down. If you have like 3 rangers and a mage on you as a fighter, you're just going to get killed, right? So, you're not immortal. I mean, if any class was immortal, they'd be broken. Would you rather be a ranger rogue or a rogue ranger? I don't know, because we haven't seen the rogue yet. So, I can't answer that question. It depends how cool the rogue is. There's a lot I love about the ranger. It's my favorite class at the moment. It is such a fun class to play. Kiting feels amazing versus NPCs. PvP feels really, really fun versus melee classes. But PvP versus range classes is boring AF. Because there's no skill involved. If I'm fighting a mage or a cleric or a bard, there is literally no skill involved as a ranger. All you gotta do is do your DPS rotation and hope to kill them fast enough before they kill you. That's it. That's what I don't like about the rogue. I mean, about the ranger. The range matchup is boring. The melee matchups are great. If you're fighting versus a fighter, if you're fighting versus a tank, it feels awesome. You have so many tools at your disposal, but again, yeah. Range matchup, boring AF. And the rogue might be different. It might have a high skill matchup for every matchup, right? Not saying it can win every matchup, but it might feel skillful. You might have actual decisions to make. The proper question would be, would you prefer to be stealthier or attack from long range? Both. I like both playstyles. I can play either one. They're both fun for me. But, like, being stealthy is not what's going to make or break the rogue for me. It's going to be how he feels to play, you know? What is it, like people underestimate how important class fantasy is. I think class fantasy is huge. If I'm playing a ranger, I want to feel like a ranger, you know? For example, Throne of Liberty, I played a ranger. I played bow plus daggers. You know what? The bow felt like shit. Why? Because your range was like 2 steps in front of you. It's almost melee range. The max range of bows sucks in Throne of Liberty. That doesn't even feel like a ranger. It's weird. But anyway, it is what it is. Can't you play around with camo to dodge some abilities? Tried it. And that was one of the most exciting things about Ranger for me. When I saw that camo says that you cannot be targeted, I thought that meant that when you click camo, anybody who was targeting you with a spell that's channeling would break the channeling because you're no longer targeting the person. And I tested it. It doesn't work. If they start casting a spell and you click camo, it doesn't stop them from... They still hit you with the spell. Now, that might be a bug. If it's a bug, all of a sudden I have more faith in the Ranger. because now you do have a long duration ability that you can do some high skill ceiling plays with, right? You see a mage channeling Fireball, you click camo right before it ends channeling, and you just wasted 2 seconds of channeling time, right? That's huge. Now, it is on like a 1 minute cooldown, but that's fine. In Ashes, do you prefer shortbow or longbow? I like a longbow better. Rangers have traps, a lot of them, yes. They have a lot of traps. If you're playing versus a ranger in your melee class, a good ranger will keep you CC'd forever. Now, to be fair, fighters and whatnot, they have their own CCs too. If a fighter gets on top of you and your cooldowns are down, you're dead. Another thing that you may have not been thinking over is team comp. I play group PvP with the ranger as well. They're pretty fun. But again, I think other classes are at the moment doing it better. Their best spell. It's crazy. I see some people not even specking into it. Like, I've seen some ranger guides on Discords where they actually skip vines and they're like, no, bear trap's better. I'm like, yeah, in what world is bear trap better? Not even close. Do you think flagging system getting corruption works correctly now? Yes and no. I think there's still some bugs. Like, for example, I thought it was going to be the case that if you attack somebody who's red, you don't flag, but you do flag. At the moment, what class is the best? I mean, the question is at what? I mean, if you just want like a best overall, maybe mage? Like, if you just want best overall, like maybe the mage? Cleric, maybe? Cleric's pretty high up there as well. Maybe those two are best. Time to kill, it also comes down to like what you're fighting against. How bursty you are. Like, for example, who can kill a ranger the fastest? A ranger that has no hard CC and has no self-healing. Maybe ranger can kill a ranger fastest. Because how does a ranger avoid snipe into double headshot? They have nothing they can do to stop that if they get sniped without expecting it. Like, if you walk up to a ranger in stealth, in camouflage, you fully charge a snipe with the tiger mark and it crits, and then you just go headshot into headshot, he's dead, right? And that's so damn bursty. Like, that can kill a ranger in a one-shot almost combo. And there's not much he can do about it because making space doesn't help, since making space, he's still going to be within range to get your combo off. At least versus a hunter, if you open, he can react fast enough with disengage, drop some slows, and get out of it. But that's because a ranger has no hard CC and no self-heal. Now, who can kill a mage faster? Well, mages have barriers. That's a very different question now. Mages are able to like sleep you and run away. So at some points you want more time, right? Because you need more time to kill. Who can kill a cleric faster? Ranger might not be able to kill a cleric depending on how well geared the cleric is, if their healing is just too high. There's a lot of questions. I would say overall best right now is mage. But I would never pick a mage because of that. Because we have not had a single real balance patch. Like, they haven't really cared about balancing. They just made the classes feel fun, that's it. They're not really looking to see, oh, is ranger weak compared to mage? Not really, not yet. So, pick the class that looks the most fun. Right? Pick the funner class. Healer is actually great at PvP, but maybe it's overtuned. Like right now, healer is crazy good, cleric, because they do actually really good damage, and they have ridiculous healing. So, yeah, go with what you have the most fun with, and it'll be balanced out eventually. In PvP at the moment, and mob kills the player, you don't get corruption. Well, that's going to be that way forever. That's intended. Mage got huge AoE, but single target, I think Ranger is huge. Mage has amazing single target too. Their conflagurate combos, their burning, their shatter combos, you're using all of those in the same time because there's no specializing. You just get value out of all of it. You try to shatter as often as possible. You keep your burn up as long as possible. You refresh the burn with freeze. Conflagration is insane. It's really strong. Summoner? Yeah, well, Summoner's not out. That's phase 3. We'll have Summoner later. EXP, what is the best way to get it? Quests? No. Questing sucks, dude. Don't even bother questing. I think they're going to do an overhaul of quests sometime, like, maybe by phase 3, we'll have better questing, but it's really, really bad. Do you think we'll have more content for this weekend playtest? No, I don't think so. They're going to be doing bug fixes for sure. Guys, so one thing people really, really, really don't pay attention to, they're not looking to add new content and make the game more fun. What they're trying to figure out is, how can we make the performance as good as possible? Oh, people are lagging here, let's fix that. Okay, people are desyncing there, let's fix that. People are crashing here, let's see what's causing the crash. The mobs in this area are slow or not responsive, let's see why that is. Stability, how stable is the game? Are the servers crashing for any reason, etc. Scalability, I mean, it's kind of a combination of performance and stability. Can we scale this into other biomes, into other areas, bigger, better, you know? And progression, basically leveling, skill progression, whatnot. They're not looking to add new quests. They're not looking to add new enemies. None of that. That's not the purpose of Phase 1. So, even if they might have a lot of stuff ready, there's no reason to add it because it's going to just slow down this. Every time you add new stuff, you might break something. Right now, they're not looking to break or implement. They're looking to fix, right? They're looking to have their ground, their base, the most important things ready. And once this is all in a good place, they move on to the next goal. Node advancement. We're probably going to see a lot of upgrades in like what we can do in nodes. Economy testing, okay. Vassalling, okay. So we've got Phase 2. Phase 3, expanded content and features, right? So you got to really focus on what the purpose of Phase 1 is. The purpose of Phase 1 is not to test how fun the game is. If they do an update to make it more fun, they're wasting their time, really. That's not the time to make the game more fun. It's to make sure all of this is as good as humanly possible. Then eventually we move on to more content, expanding the game, expanding the activities we can do in the game.